Hello and welcome to this video. So you may be here today listening to this video, and to start straight in the subject, in reality you're not here today listening to this video. And that's the basis of this message. Against all evidence, you're not here watching this video. And yet, for practicality purposes, that's what we call it. Being here, I'm making a video and you listening to a video, to that video. But in reality, this is this message that says that there is no one inside us. So there is no one here talking, there is no one listening. And this is the big paradox of this message. This is a unique message. This is radical. I think it's the most radical message because to me this message eradicates about every single belief, principles, and I would even add values. All values disappear in that non-duality, in that message, in that realization that there is no one. Everything disappears. Everything gets wiped out. It's like your computer. If you do a reboot, complete reboot, you just destroy everything. Every data that was stored in this computer disappears, and it comes out fresh with nothing. Well, this is the same with non-duality. Once it is seen that there is no one, then what is left is just what is. And I like to describe it, to name it, for practicality again, to name it as the natural state. This is the natural state. What is and what has always been the famous natural state. Not a state that we can discover, not a state that we have lost and that we need to find again, not something that we need to grow, that we need to develop. There's just the natural state. There's always been only the natural state, and there will only ever be the natural state. Nothing else but the natural state. Now, in that natural state appear things. Things appear. Appearances of anything. Appearance of this watching a video. Appearance of someone here, a living organism speaking and others listening. So this message, as I say, is so radical. And radical is not even sufficient, really, to describe how radical it is. And like I said, because it just wipes out everything that is existential values, existential principles, existential knowledge. Now what is left is a knowledge, that conditioning that each living organism seems to have built, stored, so that we can function in this world, in this society, in this system. And so this seems to be playing out automatically, naturally. And it doesn't need someone for that practical application to happen in the world in order to take actions and do things. And so that's very good, that's very practical. Because we have gathered all these informations, the practical informations, knowledge that we've got to have in order to survive in this world. We need it. But it's there. It's not something that we have to juggle around with. It's working on its own. It's automatic. It's robotic. We have to realize in reality we are robots. That's what we do. We just seem to have this consciousness and awareness of ourselves and our surroundings that make us be in control. So we think we are in control of something that is so much bigger than what we think, because it's the life itself. And you cannot be conscious of life. You can be conscious of, oh yes, there is life. Oh, there is like a knowledge. That's only that. You can only be conscious of things you know. You cannot be conscious of things you don't know. It's impossible. And if you may have a certain knowledge of what you call the unknown, and that's as far as you will go. But you cannot be conscious of what you don't know. You can only be conscious of everything that you know already. Everything that has been accumulated in your life. And so that's how we function. Efficiently, and or as efficiently as possible, so that there is recognition. The objects and things have been named. Everything has a name, and then all this knowledge, all this memory gets activated every day. But beyond our knowledge, we're not conscious of that. We're not really conscious of that. We're only conscious of a little idea of control, and as if we were the ones doing these things, this control and everything. To illustrate this principle, I'm going to use an example that I used in the past. Is let's say you're going to be crossing a road. So you stand on the road and you're going to be crossing the road. So you may be thinking, I'm crossing the road. So, but the action of crossing the road is made of so many little aspects. I don't know how many, but so many little things. And this living organism is so intelligent, is so sharp, it's so amazing that it sees, records everything. But you don't know that your living organism is doing that. You don't know it because it's all happening automatically. So this little awareness, I'm crossing the road. And actually, it's very possible that as you cross the road, you may be thinking about something completely different. You may be thinking about, oh, I'm going to go to this meeting and I'm going to meet that person and everything. And while at the same time that you have having this conversation within yourself, the process of crossing the road is happening, and your awareness of the action of crossing the road is close to none, because it's all happening, because it's all a program. We've been programmed to do these things, and that's fascinating and that's amazing. And that's really good. And this living organism, you could say, is very reliable. And you don't have, it's not a matter of intelligence. You don't have to be intelligent to cross the road. You don't have to be intelligent to do anything, because really, it's all something that is happening automatically. So here we are. We are not crossing the road. You are not crossing the road. The crossing the road is happening outside of your awareness. And you may have a little thought, I'm crossing the road. I'm looking on the right. I'm looking on the left, or whatever. These are small, tiny little things. But though all the evaluation of distance and the speed of the oncoming cars or anything, all that happens really automatically, beautifully. So this living organism is absolutely fascinating. One thing to know also is that in order to function in this world, there are moments of what we could call what seems to be awareness, because there is a demand. For instance, somebody asks you, oh, where is the hospital? Well, you may know where it is, the hospital. So then somehow your knowledge comes to the fore, and you will seem to be there engaged in a conversation with that person to tell them where is the hospital. And so because there is a trigger, and the trigger triggers, then this request triggers a memory, a program specific about that question. And this is something that happens all the time. The living organism responds through the knowledge that is there. But if you say, oh, can you tell me how to go to Mars? Oh, out there, up there, that's beyond your knowledge. So of course you're not going to say, sorry man, it's just a stupid question, or, no, I don't know, So these are, because this is not part of your knowledge. There will be the trigger of the question, but you won't be able to give an answer because you don't know. So we have to realize that everything is memory. Really, we are a memory bank that functions. Now, on the domain of the existential, which, as I was saying, includes at least, and maybe even more, but these main things, which are the spiritual, the psychological, the philosophical, the development of oneself, and all these things, when this sensation of being someone is not there anymore, it seems like all the knowledge of these things, not that you, if somebody asks you, you will not be able anymore to say, oh, philosophy, you will maybe give a little explanation of what is philosophy or whatever. Or if you have done some spiritual practices in the past, it's not that you won't be able to give some explanation of what you did and how it worked or how it didn't work. But basically, it doesn't arise anymore as something needed. So it's not there anymore. It's wiped out, unless, as I say, there is a trigger. Somebody asks you about spirituality. Then you will give them a little rundown of your knowledge of spirituality, whether you like it, whether you don't like it, what you did, with the name of it, and different techniques, or the fact that you really don't like it, you don't think it's necessary, and it's a waste of time, whatever it can be, these things will come. But in your own personal existential life, these things don't appear anymore. They are vanished of your need and of the needs of your life and your experiences. It's not anymore an experience. So there is no more the need of some existential, it's an absence of it actually. It's absent. Unless, as I said, a trigger, somebody asks you a question about it. Do you believe in spirituality? Then response will appear. But it's not there anymore, playing out that energy and that sensation and that need that is so prevalent in the living organism once this sensation of being someone is activated, which is really that what some people say a contraction. Yes, it is. It's some kind of contraction that makes you being engaged in something to solve, to reduce, to take away that contraction that is so debilitating and so difficult to live with. And you go on with questions and sometimes anxiety and frustrations because you don't have the answers that you would like to have. You don't have the peace that you would like to have, the happiness that you would like to have. So all this disappears, and that's what we could say the liberation comes from. Now, the last thing I wanted to say for today is, of course, the life story goes on, not the existential side of it, but the life story. So the practical life that is happening. It's not me doing it, but it's still there. But it's all an engagement. Life becomes an engagement that is automatic and natural. And dealings with what happens in that story, practical story of this living organism. So there seems to be that engagement, but it's not the engagement of the me. There's no one doing it. It's all happening on its own, naturally, automatically, amazingly automatically. It's all so efficient. That's what I want to reiterate, that this living organism is so efficient. It's incredible, the way this living organism is just in control of everything, but you're not. You don't need to be, and you've never been actually. You've never been in control. You thought you were. You thought in that illusion of being someone we think we are, and that's so heavy to carry this sensation, and it's creating so many complications in our lives, to the point that then we feel we need to be delivered of those complications and those frustrations and those difficulties that it provokes. And that's why we then choose some things that have been created by culture, those beliefs, those values, those techniques in order to do certain things. And that will be the subject of my next video. We have to realize then that this me will be engaged in cultural values and knowledge, and that we have somehow believed or just incorporated beyond our knowledge. We have not chosen to have these things happening automatically in our lives. Nobody has ever chosen that. It's just happened that there are beliefs, there are things that are playing out existentially when this sensation of being someone is activated. Then there are some values, principles, morals, beliefs that play out, which you have never in reality chosen originally to abide by. It's only because this energy it's something that happened in our first years of our life, usually between 1.5 years and 2 years, when the start of that sensation of being someone start really forming itself, and from there develop into a greater and bigger knowledge of that. And then you know you are someone, you are a person, you hear your name, and that name is then something that is separate from everything else. And from then on, here we go, we are just taken by that sensation of being someone. And then that's the journey that we've all been into, the journey of me, with its complication, its difficulties, its stuff, and it's just like sticky, and then for some reason, we don't know why, somehow, sometimes this sensation disappears. Out of nowhere, not planned, not, it just happened. And then, probably for you, here you are, you're interested with the subject of non-duality, you seem to resonate with it, you seem to have an understanding of it, and so, but the mind cannot create something that is actually not beyond the mind, but not within the mind. The mind and this knowledge and this sensation is not based on a mind trip. In other words, the mind cannot create something to get rid of the mind. No way. So that's clear cut. The mind cannot stop the mind. And here you go. The mind cannot stop the mind. You might think it can, but because this sensation is what we could call energetic sensation is still there in the background, it will still replay later on with maybe different perspective, with different mental ideas, with a slight different perspective, but it still will be there. And in doing so, there is an impression of progress, that you're progressing towards that final understanding, as if there was a final understanding of that thing. And yet, it is seen that, of course, the mind cannot create that final understanding. You may come to what you think is the final understanding. There is no one. Oh my God, there is no one. And the me will take it from there. Yes, there is no one. And what are you going to do about it now? Because, okay, there is no one. And then it's not going to stop there. It doesn't stop there because that sensation is still there. So the me will take it from there. From that latest realization, yes, there is no one. So, and you can imagine what will be the so this, so that, so now, so what should I do now, and whatever. And it can be really good, it can be really bad, it can be frustrating. So, yeah, there's no way to land with the tool of the mind, of understanding, to land into that place of liberation of the mind, because really it's the liberation of the mind. It's the liberation of the questions. It's the absence of questions. So it's the end of the mind in that sense. And that's a huge, yes, you could say that it's a huge relief for this living organism, because that sensation, energetic sensation, that is so powerful sometimes, and usually very powerful, very strong, and can create, so with all the psychological, emotional things that it creates, it seems to create, then the living organism it's quite affected by it. Not the universe. The universe is not affected by that. It doesn't care. The universe doesn't really care about that. So, but it's in your story that there is this impression that there is something wrong, and that it's creating. But really, the universe is not concerned about these things. The universe is not concerned about anything, to be honest with you. It's not concerned about the state of the world. You know, we could say that we, as species, us and other species, are in danger. Yes, in this world, what has been created, yeah, we could say we're definitely in danger of extinction, of really of creating a huge disruption as far as the species. But the universe, the planet, the whole thing there will always be able to sustain even what the humans have created on this planet. The planet will sustain itself, and in that sense, we have to realize the planet is not in danger, but we are, because we have created a system that is actually fighting against us. Really, the system is really, you could say, it's turning against us, and what we create is actually doing something that will be possibly eventually destroying the species. But even with that, if we could even imagine that there would be an extinction of all species on the face of the earth, which I don't believe really it's possible, even that. But then the universe will recondition, if you could say, all that energy of each individual, each creation, each animal, human, will recreate through all the atoms, and will regenerate and keep it going. So let's not worry about the planet. The planet will be fine. And as far as us, let's see. I'm not a prophet. I have no idea how it will really finish. It depends. It looks like it depends on the decisions of certain people, groups, or whatever. We shall see. Anyway, this is not all about politics or anything like that, but just a little parenthesis over that subject. Okay, well, thank you very much. It was great, and please don't hesitate to give commentaries, questions, reactions, and please subscribe to my channel, and hope to see you again, to talk to you again, and see you soon. Bye for now.